Hello.
Hi there.
I'm Randy,
And I'm Steve.
and welcome to another one of our horror reviews. We decided to do the X trilogy.
Yes, which I'm so stoked about.
Because, well, the first two, and then we went and saw Maxine.
Yes.
Been a little bit busy, so this is a little late, so we do apologize,
Yes.
but we wanted to do all three films.
Uh-huh.
Each film will probably have two parts.
Yeah, it
Two
will.
videos.
It will have two parts.
So be prepared for an hour's worth of X.
Hours worth of each film. No, an hour's worth of all together.
All together, yeah, totally.
'Cause
2, 4, 6,
20
60
Oh, yeah.
minutes.
Oh, yeah. 20 minutes for each movie.
Yeah.
So here we go.
But we're doing them in
An hour from each movie, can you imagine?
chronological order, is that right?
Chronological order, yes. Not release date order. I know this movie's a prequel. We start with this movie first, and I'll get into that in a minute, but yes.
Yes. So, to start out, this is Pearl.
Yes, Pearl from 2022. This is actually the first movie of the trilogy I actually saw in theaters.
And this, I just want to say, is probably a snubbed movie because Mia Goth, I'm an awards movie watcher, and I think Mia Goth gave the performance of a lifetime in this movie
She did.
and should have been nominated for something.
She did.
So, yeah.
Oh, she was outstanding. Yeah, so back in 2022, this movie came out only like 5 or 6 months because X came out in March of 2022. I had not seen it when it first came out. It took me a while to finally watch it when I came back from being out of state. And then I watched X direct to video, fell in love with it. And then I think this came out in September. I remember watching this by myself when it came out. And I was just, when I first watched both these back to back, I actually couldn't really decide instantly which movie I liked better. I thought they were just so polar opposite. This movie, though, going right into this movie, though, I do think this one is such a colorful film about this young woman with all these dreams and ambitions and desires and ideas on the world descending into madness. It's like a Wizard of Oz meets Psycho or American Psycho. I would say it's like Wizard of Oz or Disney meets American Psycho. It's this it's not the internal dialogue, but it's
It's like American Psycho for women.
it is in a way, like even better than American Psycho 2. Not to say that I don't like that movie, but this movie's a better movie.
This is true.
American Psycho 2 with Mila Kunis is actually really awesome, but this is way better. Obviously, now you can compare the two movies; they're completely on different levels. I do like that movie, but it's more of just a fun watch. This is like an actually really good movie that shows this girl in the 1920s dealing with a Spanish flu. Her family has immigrated from Germany. And they're taking care of their sick.
1918?
Her AL father. Yes, 1980.
So a couple years after the Titanic sank.
Yes. Really hard time in the world for a lot of
Pandemic.
reasons.
It's ironic that this movie came out during the pandemic.
He did that on
because
purpose.
the movie had the pandemic in it.
Ty West actually, I believe, if I remember correctly, intended that because he wanted to make that correlation to how they dealt with that in that time period and how it reflected on our culture as well with how we were dealing with our pandemic. But yeah, it was just so interesting. This is a very character study focused movie. It's very deep and dark. Its tone is not really that comical. I mean, it is in a warped way, but it's a lot more of this.
It's like a 1920s horror movie.
It's like
it's really a 1920s movie.
It is. Its style, its tone, the way it's written, the way it's performed, everything, and also the way they edited the footage. It's like the colors are just that much more saturated and vibrant here, which I think makes it feel. They were going to try to do black and white, is what Ty West wanted to do, and then since he couldn't do that, they did this Technicolor kind of look, and it looked amazing. The soundtrack, the scoring, the performances, I love this movie. I think all these movies are amazing. I want to start that with this trilogy. I mean, I know everyone has like certain movies they liked more or less, and some people didn't like a certain movie at all even. I did really love all three movies, and this one is no different. I absolutely love this movie. I can say this is people's favorite. I think my favorite is probably a different one, but this one is really close.
This one's
and
really
and it took me forever to decide that.
And it does.
I almost
it takes
thought
you a couple of rewatches.
I didn't know which one was. Everyone's very different on this. I can see why people put this one first. It's not my first by a slight margin because of something else, and I'll get into it later. But it's an outstanding movie with outstanding performances, and yeah, I agree. This definitely could have been a like Academy Award or just some sort of award.
I mean, the future Superman is in this movie. David Corn, whatever his name.
Cornsweet.
Yeah.
Cornsweet.
He's the new Superman.
Oh wow, cool.
Yes, he's all buff now.
A lot of good actors in this movie too. But not a lot of them I know their names. Actually, this is
There's
one of
not a lot of
this
known
is
actors.
out of all three movies, I think this one has the least amount of well-known actors.
Yeah.
They're all really
Because
talented.
at the time, David Corns
wasn't as popular.
wasn't as popular, and he was only in that Ryan
her-
Murphy show.
Mia Goth's father in this movie was famous, but he didn't have it. He was a mute character. He was like a vegetable. It's really sad.
He was in some Stephen King. Sometimes They Come Back.
But yeah, I
That's
think
how old he is.
I think for this movie, reviews wise, I think where its strengths were, it really depicted this idea, this, origin story to this old woman who, it shows how she reflects to the character Maxine in X, of this girl who wants to have, fame and become a dancer and do all these things.
She wants to be a star.
Yeah, she wants to be a star, and it is not lined up in the stars for her.
But I'm a star.
Yeah,
Sorry.
we are stars. It's okay. We're stars doing TikTok videos,
Right.
Instagram videos, whatever.
I will not accept this life I do not deserve.
We will not since I do not deserve.
We'll get into that in the next movie.
But I think it's amazing. I think this movie really depicted a great female psycho movie. In a sense, there's not a lot of movies where it shows female villains that go into madness just because. Like, they give her reasons to why she goes.
It's not just because. Like, it's a lot of shit.
It
like,
is. No, there is. But
on her plate.
I would say that the thing is, the character itself is naturally mentally, unstable.
And it is the 1920s. Murder back then was a lot easier than it is nowadays.
That's an interesting
So, like, a normal, well, not a normal person, but I guess a psycho person nowadays probably would be more apt to kill than they would in the 1920s.
I would rephrase that because I think I would say that more so it's the fact that mental illness was not treated.
Exactly.
The murder stuff, I don't know, but I will say for sure, mental illness was not treated. And this is a character who, yes, had a lot of things that made it worse, but the character Pearl in itself is mentally unstable and has murder syndromes regardless of everything that else is pushed upon her. It just makes it makes her feel more compressed.
It is a little extreme.
She feels compressed because of all the events going on in her life.
Why are you acting like this?
Well, she shows that
what did I do wrong?
She shows natural sociopathic and psychopathic tendencies with the wanting to hurt animals that she thinks don't have feelings that are smaller than her, and going on to saying that when she kills people, it's a bigger thrill because they have more meaning, they have more impact. Her family, her friends, these new people, these new connections she's meeting, all have, there's this feeling of power and adrenaline for her. But yet she wants to try to escape the idea that she doesn't feel like she blends in with the world. I think also for me, another thing about this movie that feels different than a lot of psycho movies too is not that it's just a woman without reason in a way, but also a woman who knows she's crazy and she's talking about that monologue that everyone talks about. Amazing. As an actor myself, I love that scene. I love that dialogue. Mm-hmm. I would love to get dialogue like that in any show I've ever been in.
That should have been the nomination right there.
I would have loved to have a dialogue like that. Like just that monologue. It's so beautiful. It's so dark and twisted and morbid. And I remember watching that in theaters and being by myself and just being completely unhinged. I was just shocked. And so.
But, we'll finish this discussion in part 2. Listen to all of part 1, and we'll be back in just a moment.
We'll be right back.
With next.
Yes.